We are back on the chosen baseball journey with the one and only Karim Garcia, MLB legend, good friend of mine, man that I love talking baseball with. We talk daily and we laugh at the world of baseball and the happenings. I'm Jonathan A. Hacohen, lawyer, author of the book The Bible 3.0, podcaster, and we're here to talk one of our favorite topics on the planet, and it is baseball. Kareem, today on today's topic, I'm gonna circle back to the Yankees because I've been watching a lot of Yankees games recently and started to feel I'm getting it. You know what? I'm seeing this roster and I'm starting to get it and talking about their World Series aspirations. But before we get to the New York Yankees, with your permission, can we touch upon a recent event that just came out as we started taping?
Sure, I'm ready to go.
You know that I'm a very passionate fantasy baseball owner and player. And I run my two fantasy teams, one of them which got auto drafted for me, and one that I drafted myself. The one that they drafted for me, I went in right away, fixed it. I'm in first place in that one. The one which I delicately picked the best hitters, and I said I'll find pitchers later. I'm not going to worry about that. That one's in third place, but we will get better. The one that I drafted, I made sure to pick certain hitters and certain positions. I just found out my catcher, JT Realmuto, is off to the injured list. That's a hard blow in the world of baseball. As you know, when you have a good catcher, you have like a number one, real number one. So with your help, I'm taking a look at my wire right now. Can you help me find a replacement for JT Realmuto?
Sure. What do we have?
Let's see. We got Diaz on Houston, who's been having not the best season, a pretty good season. We got Cal Raleigh. We got Sean Murphy over in Atlanta. Ruiz on Washington. Ohop. I never know how to pronounce his name. Ohop on the Angels. Travis d'Arnaud also on the Braves. And that looks to be about it, my friend. When you are playing in a 12-team league, it's usually slim pickings at best. What are you thinking as I'm relaying this information to you? Also, Danny Jansen's available on the Jays. He started hitting really well. If I had to pick
I
one
was
right now, what are you thinking?
probably with experience going to Travis d'Arnaud. That's probably the one I would pick with Atlanta. He's probably going to have a lot of game at play time, stuff like that. So it's a team that he's been struggling a little bit, Atlanta, and they're trying to catch up with the Phillies. You know, they're playing catch up right now.
You know what's funny though? In my league, when I look at the amount of catchers available, there's right now seven, eight catchers that actually have more points than Real Muto. You hear Real Muto and you're thinking, oh, he must be like the number one catcher in baseball. In fantasy baseball, he's in the middle of the pack. If I actually put him on the injured list, grab any of the top seven guys, I'm getting somebody who's actually got better stats than him. So this this is one. It's funny. I listen to certain stations on XM Sirius Radio, and one of them is the Fantasy Channel. And right now they talk about fantasy baseball all the time. And one thing they say in running a fantasy baseball team, Kareem, is don't fall in love with the names. Worry about the statistics. Worry about winning it for you. Do not fall in love with the names. The names won't always get you there.
Yeah,
Interesting how that works, huh?
yeah, something like Aaron Judge. The people was dropping him in April, something like that. You know, he's not doing anything. He's going to have a terrible season. But there comes May and everything changes.
And this, it's funny. I don't always pick it this way, but when I start off with a topic, it's always a transition somehow to our main topic. And the New York Yankees are running their team somewhat like a fantasy baseball team. And it teaches you don't fall in love always with the names. You look at the star-studded roster and you think Rizzo, LeMahieu, Stanton. Of course, this team should be in first place. They are in first place. They are going to make the playoffs. They may make the World Series, but it's not because of those named players, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's
Well,
the other guys that are doing their parts. Like I mentioned, Verdugo. We don't talk a lot of them. Well, actually, we have talked a lot of them. He was hitting fourth, now he's hitting fifth. Josh was struggling the first month of the season, hitting 198, now 195. All of a sudden, he turned it around, get a couple players off the week, and start raking every week. Now it's littered in home runs, RBIs. He's hitting over 300. I mean, you cannot have enough of talking about this guy. He got a day off yesterday, by the way. So was Stanton.
so I got a funny question for you to begin. At this point in the season, we are almost, mid June. We are getting very close to the halfway mark of the season. If you had to name right now your New York Yankees MVP, who would it be? And my pick may surprise you. Who would you pick as your New York Yankees MVP halfway mark of the year?
Soto.
Soto. Okay.
You thought I was going to say Josh,
Nope.
huh?
Clay Holmes.
Well,
Clay
Clay
Holmes.
Holmes. Oh, yeah, of course. Yes.
You
What
know,
about Hill? What about Hill?
yeah. And Volpe, Gil, Rodon, how he's been pitching lately. By the way, I picked up Rodon. He's been doing very well on my fantasy team, and Gil has as well. But you think about how many teams, ask the Reds about Diaz, ask the Astros about Hader. There's something about a lockdown closer that just gives so much confidence to a team. And Holmes has been automatic as possible for the Yankees. This team is not in first place without him. There's, I think, several MVPs in fairness. I'm saying this tongue in cheek, of course. I think Volpe has been a stabilizing force at leadoff, at shortstop. He's the modern day Derek Jeter, the young Derek Jeter for them. But Holmes, from a guy who came from the Rockies, they had this three-headed monster at closer. I don't think anybody saw him being this locked down. And I think the guy has just been steady and it's transferred to the whole team.
Yes, you have. I mean, they have the security as Mariano Rivera when they had him for 18 years. When Mo was coming to pitch the ninth inning or the last four outs of the game, that was game over. You know, just pull down the curtain because that was over. And this guy has thrown. I mean, so he's been throwing this year. Only one time he has messed up. Other than that, he's flawless.
Absolutely flawless. And the guy that you picked, Soto, let me ask you because when the Padres had Soto, I thought that Soto was going to put them over the top. And obviously, the Padres did not win the World Series with him. What what has reinvigorated? Like, why is Soto different on the Padres than on the Yankees? Because I mean, his statistics are better. He's always been a great player, obviously, but there's been something very magical. Is it literally putting on the pinstripes and you become a whole new player? Like, what's your take on Soto in New York?
Well, it's a team that has a lot of legacy. Everybody wants to either be on the Yankees or beat the Yankees. Once you put the shirt, the spin stripes over there, it's such a pride that you have to play for the people that play before you and what they represent for baseball. All those guys going back from Baby Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Yogi Berra. Plus, Southern New York is a lot of Dominican people. It feels almost like home. It's relaxed. If he wants to have some mondongo, if he wants to have some Latin food, he's going to be able to do so. I'm not saying that he wasn't being able to do it in San Diego, but in San Diego, the population, the Latin population is more Mexicans than anything else over there because it's just right next to Tijuana. And New York, like everybody knows, there's more Dominicans.
Now, Luis Gil, we brought him up, touched upon him a couple of times. Here's a guy who's literally been their ace for most of the year, and we know that Cole's going to come back. I mean, think about Gil, Cortez, Rodon. Stroman has been fairly consistent, not an ace, but a good like number four guy for them. and then you bring Garrett Cole into this, and Cole pitches like Garrett Cole. I gotta say they're playoff favorites, but the word on the street is they're gonna pull a Strasburg and limit his innings and either put him to the pen or by the playoffs he may not pitch at all. When you're when you're playing on the field and you have a 162 game season and you have a pitcher pitching like an ace, how do you think it feels for the other players when all of a sudden the team comes to you and says, "Oh, we're going to limit his innings, or we're putting him in the pen, or we're shutting him down for the year," and this is somebody who's been leading you all year?
You're talking about Gil, or you're talking
Gil.
about?
So like let's start off with Gil because as the Yankees, how do you think the players, would be their take, knowing in the back of their heads, all of a sudden Gil gets pulled from the rotation, for example?
I'm not seeing they pulling Gil from the rotation at all. I'm seeing the Strowman trying to hit some innings when it's the long games when they're losing by a lot, they're winning by a lot. You don't want to use the bullpen. They might bring him in because that's the guy. That's the guy who's gonna eat innings for you. I don't see the Yankees putting Gil on the bullpen or shutting him down or just giving him 70, 80 pitches so to be ready for the playoff. I don't see that coming right now. Plus, it's been a long time for the Yankees not to make the World Series. You have to throw everything that you have at everyone.
So Stroman to the pen is an interesting one. We know he is not the most quiet, shy guy on the planet. He is not afraid to share his opinions. Stroman, let's just say he went to the pen. You think he'll do it quietly and happily, or would he vocalize if you're going to guess, if you're a betting man?
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Regardless of what he does, he's going to go to the pen if they ask him to go to the pen. If he says something, start freaking about it, vocalizing like you mentioned it, he's just going to find himself in Pittsburgh or somewhere else, where they're going to take the whatever he wants to say. Yankees are not going to put up with anyone, regardless of who you are. Either you respect and do what you're supposed to do and what they tell you, or they find somebody else. They find a replacement. Everybody's replaceable except for Josh and two other guys in there. Other than that, they trade you.
I got a game plan for the rotation. Here's what I would do. And I hear you. I think somebody is going to go to the pen at some point, but I don't see the issue of going to a six-man rotation. You know what? And skipping an occasional start here and there, saving those arms. I understand Gil, is not a guy who's pitched 200 innings. He's had his arm issues, granted. Cole, obviously, having his issues. Rodon having his issues. In the second half of the season, stretching these guys out a little bit more and as far as saving their arms a bit may not be the worst idea in the world.
No, it's not. But again, the game will dictate what you're gonna do. What I'm saying is, if you started and you got 5 innings, you're winning 7, 8 to 1. Hand it to the pen. Let him throw the next 3, 4 innings. What? Because you throw 70, 80 pitches, you're winning the game. They don't need you anymore. You know what? Go and have some rest. Go get some ice and be ready for the next one. It all depends how they're doing the second half of the season right after the All Star. Because with some of the guys that start getting tired, like you mentioned it, and they're gonna have some issues of injuries. It always happens on every team. So it's just have to see and wait and see what happens.
Like I'm a betting man and I come to the playoffs. I can see Cortez. I can see Stroman, long relief in the pen in the playoffs, 1,000%. These are guys who are starters. These are guys who know how to do that. Cortez has bounced around a little bit, so he knows what it's like to pitch out of there. This is what they call an embarrassment of riches. When you can put a three-man rotation of Cole, Gill, and Rodon the way they're pitching, I like the Yankees' chances a lot. And then Soto and Judge.
Yes. Soto, Josh, and hopefully either Giancarlo wakes up a little bit because and Verdugo, I mean, it's hitting lefties and righties pretty much the same. So I like the whole lineup. Rizzo is just consistent, but I mean, it's not gonna change. It's not a game changer right now for them. Those two guys that you mentioned with Judge, Volpe, and Soto, those guys will change the game right away.
Well, Yankees fans, they need their whipping boy, right? They need somebody to get on because somebody isn't pulling their weight, and that's the way it goes. And this year it's Rizzo. They're getting on Rizzo. They've had enough of Rizzo. He had a not bad start to the year, but he's been slumping for a while. And the word on the street is that they're going to make Goldschmidt appear out of nowhere and maybe even Arenado. Imagine you put Goldschmidt and Arenado, gold glovers, hitters in the middle of that Yankees lineup. You put both of those guys, I'm ready to hand them the World Series trophy right now.
That'd be unbelievable. Either that either goes to the Yankees or goes to the Dodgers. That's one of the two teams that I think they have the opportunity to get him. Plus, if he has an trade clause, he's gonna pick where he wants to go. So it all depends on him at the end of the day. And Goldschmidt probably is the same thing. And if I'm a betting man, they're probably going to New York.
Karim Garcia, when you look at these rosters from 1 through 25, 1 through 26, and you see the depth, if right now you're running an MLB team, you can have the Yankees team, their roster, or the Dodgers. Which one are you taking? Because I know which one I'm taking.
Ugh, I play for both of them, and that's just a difficult situation. But I mean, Dodgers are missing some pitching. They got great hitters, and the Yankees got some great pitching, but we got some slumping hitters. They're not hurt, but they're missing over there. So it's just a tough situation, but I don't have to take the Yankees.
I agree with you. I would take the Yankees for sure. And the reason why I like the Yankees pitching a lot more than I like the Dodgers pitching for sure. The Yankees, I get, there's the three-headed monster over in LA at the top of their lineup, but you know what? Soto and Judge ain't too bad either. And Verdugo's been hitting pretty good. Look, Stanton, I think if people are waiting for Giancarlo, don't call me Mike Stanton, to be the hitter he was 7 years ago, I don't think it's happening. He is a guy who's going to hit 230 to 250. He's going to launch you 30 to 40 bombs. He's going to strike out a ton. He's not going to walk. And you know what? As a number six, number seven hitter, as a DH in that lineup, and the veteran presence, I'm okay with him. LeMahieu is a guy that I loved what he brought to the table for the Yankees and what he brought from the Rockies. Just injuries, injuries, injuries. You think, Kareem, and you've been in your career and you think of other players. So many of these guys still so young, so much potential, but it's those injuries that they catch up to you after a while.
Yeah, and I see more and more guys, position players getting injured way too easy. I don't know if it's they're too strong, their bodies they put into a lot of stress or what's going on. They're not stretching enough because something has to do with it. Before it was just pitching, pitching, pitching. The guys that get hurt all the time, and just probably 10% were position players. Nowadays, you see like 30% position players like you did before. Of course, you can see right now that Tommy Jones and all the whole guys that are getting hurt because trying to throw hard. But like you mentioned, position players are going left and right. Mike Trout, one of those guys, superstar, incredible player when he's healthy. Giancarlo, even Judge, all these guys get hurt at least once every 2 years, and you try to figure out how. Oblique, back, shoulders, whatever it is, knees. I know it takes a toll on playing every single day because I did it, but you have to take care of yourself and your body.
And we've seen this year a lot of people breaking down. I mean, the injured list, especially with pitchers, is still climbing like mad. I probably send you every couple of days, 3 days, somebody new who's getting Tommy John or getting the new Tommy John like surgery. And the Blue Jays with Alec Manoa, another guy
How
who
would you
bites.
say?
I
How,
I said the guy had two good starts in a row. Okay, two good starts. I mean, they were superstar starts. You and I both said trade him right now, right now. And what happens? His elbow starts barking, and they're not saying anything, but he's going for a second opinion. When they don't tell you what the first opinion is, it's not usually very good because you usually don't get a second opinion unless the first opinion is very bad.
yeah, I mean, why take a second opinion when you already know what's going to happen? they're gonna tell you you're gonna have to have surgery. So you're just delaying what you already know. Might as well go ahead and do it and get it on. Go home and start rehabbing and be ready for next year. But as soon as you said that he's too good, he should have went for somewhere else. And Blue Jays are climbing a little bit. They're out of the last place now is Tampa. I'm not saying they're getting close to the playoff, but hey, 2 games behind 500 is pretty good on that division.
Vladdy Guerrero has really come alive. Like his bat has really woken up. Um, where he goes, the Jays go. So I always say, with him, and I point to players of his ilk, his age, his experience level. Fathers don't let their sons go to home run derbies. And to me, if you want to take a look at the turning point of Vladdy Guerrero's career, Vladdy Guerrero Jr., it's that home run derby. As soon as he went to the home run derby, I don't think he's been the same player. They did not have the home run derby, I think, till later on. It wasn't a phenomenon that you were seeing back in the 80s, for example. But if you were a young position player today, would you go to the home run derby?
Yes, I mean it's a different mentality. Mentality for me, it's just having fun and do it. I did it a few times, and to me it was fun. Never changed my swing. It's always the uppercut swing, going for the fences, and I always chase high fastballs, and I love hitting the low pitches all the time. But in batting practice, just like taking batting practice, but for the fans. And some guys don't like taking batting practice. I mean, home run derby because they say that switches their swing, which I don't know. Probably everyone is different.
The one home run derby that always stick in my head, Josh Hamilton. That
Uh,
Hamilton home run derby, that was the one for the ages. And you look at the guy as far as his career and where he went, and then obviously now not in a very good point. But when the guy was hitting well, that guy was a lot of fun to watch, and that was a very special home run derby. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that one was the Yankee Stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was Texas, isn't it?
Was it Texas? No, I know he was playing for Texas, but for some reason my senses say that was Yankee Stadium, but I could be wrong. But it goes to show you, you watch someone in a home run derby and they crush whatever 50 home runs and they play so well, doesn't mean it's going to transpire to having a consistent season and career. Soto, the way he plays and his on base and how he is, I would tell Soto, don't go to any home run derbies. If they bite you, stay far away. But
Hmm.
bless you. But Giancarlo Stanton, sure, Giancarlo, go hit as many home runs as you want in the derby, no problem.
Yeah, but back on those days, back in the 90s, early 90s, 2000s, you saw Ken Griffey Jr. going to the home run derbies all the time. Never changed his swing. Bob McGuire, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, um, who else? Bowell, uh, Bond. All those guys were power hitters with 30, 40, 50 home runs, and nothing happened to their swing. Nowadays, these guys are just looking for something else. You know what I'm saying? If they say, "Oh, it's because I have to change my swing," Bryce Harper doesn't change his swing. He's the same nice and loopy swing. Trying to go for the yard all the time. I like his swing. It's closer to the one of Ken Griffey with a lot of power too. So I like him going to the home run derby. So is Otani. I love to see Otani in the home run derby. So I know he can do some damage.
Otani, agreed. I would love to see him do some damage. If I was the Brewers, I would not put Churio in it. If I was the Baltimore Orioles, I wouldn't send Rutschman. Would not let Jackson Holiday one day go in there. If I'm the Yankees, I don't send Volpe. I think guys in their early mid 30s, I'm cool with. It's the younger players, the early to mid 20s, take the rest, guys. You don't need to put in that many swings. It's a long season, because I'm telling you, you're going to see Churio one day. Ellie De La Cruz is going to go in one day for the Reds, and nobody's going to hit better after the home run derby. I'd love to see the actual numbers, but I'm going to tell you, Kareem, I'm positive of it. Anybody who has ever gone in there to start a season on a monster tear never went on a monster tear in the second half. That's what I can recall.
Yeah, we'll have to see it. What happened with Josh when he's 62? Did he went to the home run derby?
Don't recall. I think he did, but listen, Aaron Judge is also 7'8", and I think he's a robot. I don't think he's actually human. Like, I
Okay.
was in Pittsburgh and I was there for the 4th of July one year, and I'm watching the Yankees in Pittsburgh. And when Judge is in the field and Judge comes up to bat, man, he looks like a man among boys. He's a big boy.
He is a monster, isn't it? It's huge. Even Otani said, "What do you think about Aaron Judge when they were playing against the Yankees?" He just goes, "It's big, it's huge."
Did you ever
He
see the
said, "He said,
two? Did you see the two of them standing beside each other? It's actually quite funny.
no, but I'm sure Josh is at least a couple inches taller than him, isn't it?"
Easily, easily. But the guy that I'm projecting to be the glue, the long-term guy, and I've been calling him the next Derek Jeter, is Anthony Volpe. I gotta say, watching a documentary on Volpe, watching him up to bat, seeing how he is in the field, I think he was born to be the Yankee shortstop. I think they've done very well with him, and he's just been so steady. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's more to come with him, in my estimation, watching him out there.
So they grew him well, huh? To be the next Derek Jeter. So it's gonna be for a long, long time. We'll wait and see. Hopefully, he doesn't get hurt.
Look, remember when Jeter and Garcia Parra were 1 and 2, right?
Yes.
Garcia Parra also very, very, very special player, but injuries have a way of doing things to you, you know. And you think about Danby Swanson, and think about Trey Turner right now. Think how many great shortstops there are, and yet it's so hard to stay on the field. This is where what Cal Ripken did back in the day is obscene. How the heck did he manage to do that many consecutive games and do it so well? I think Ripken's streak is one item we're never going to see broken. What do you think?
No, it's very difficult nowadays with these guys taking a day off or injuries all the time. And you forget one, two, you say Nomar Garcia, Parra, and Jeter, but we forget that Alex Rodriguez was the shortstop for a long time. And then he moved to third base with the Yankees. But actually, it was Alex, Jeter, and Garcia Parra because the first MVP was Alex
This
with
is
Seattle.
very good point because I think if I look back on history and I think about those trades and signings, when I think about A-Rod's legacy, I think he would have been better off not being in New York. I think he would have been better off taking the Red Sox trade. I think it would have worked out better for him. I think being on Jeter's team, moving over to third, that kind of a little resentment. I think long term, I think he would have been better off. Personally, I never loved that move. I didn't love when the Yankees re-signed him personally, and I love him as a player. I love what he brings to the table. But from a fit point of view, when I look back on it in the histories, it's always that comparison to Jeter at the end of the day, and that's unfortunate because they're both such great players, and I think each one had their special place in history. If A-Rod stays at shortstop, and let's say stays in Seattle his whole life, or Seattle and Texas, and never moves from Texas, we might be talking about A-Rod above Jeter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because the only way the era moved to third base is because Jeter wasn't going to move to third base. He was the captain of the Yankees. The team with the most wins of all time. So forget about that. Plus, George Steinbrenner loved Jeter. He wasn't going to do that either. You put the era on third base or first base, but you had Giambi on first base. So what are you doing now?
And there's more than a few people have told me statistically, defensively, that A-Rod should have stayed at shortstop and Jeter should have moved to third base, but the Yankees captain ain't moving to third base.
No, never, never. That was never going to happen.
So now, when we look into our crystal balls, almost halfway through the season, we're still liking the Phillies, I think, for the World Series. Are we thinking that the Yankees may be getting closer to World Series playoff appearance this year?
They have a great opportunity to do so. And like you mentioned, if Garrett Cole comes and doesn't get hurt again, the Yankees are going to the World Series for sure. I mean, if they beat Toronto in the playoffs.
Well, the only roadblock that I'm seeing, the major one, obviously the Orioles are playing great. The Rays can still rebound, but I want to see DeGrom and Scherzer where they're at in September. If
Oh,
if the Rangers have Jacob DeGrom and Max Scherzer anywhere close to healthy, and you throw those two guys at the top of the rotation with those hitters, Jungle be back at third base. I'm still kind of liking the Rangers heading to the World Series. I think the Yankees and Rangers in a playoff battle, that would be a lot of fun to watch.
absolutely. Like you mentioned, I mean, the Texas Rangers went back to back World Series a few years back. They lose both of them, but I mean, they did it, and that's probably the last team they have been back to back in the World Series. So hey, you never know. We're not even halfway through the season yet. We got 65 games so far. We still got another 21 to go to the first half for the 81 mark, and we'll see. We'll see if those guys are ready. It's gonna be like you mentioned a battle, but they're battle tested, so we'll figure it out later.
We'll see. We still got at least 100 Tommy Johns to go until September. So stay tuned for that. So good luck to New York Yankees, and we're liking where you're headed. He is Karim Garcia. I'm Jonathan A. Cohen. We'll be back next week. And next week, we're going to be talking about Karim Garcia's favorite umpire. And Karim's very, very upset because his favorite umpire had to say goodbye. So we'll touch upon that next week. This is the Chosen Baseball Journey.